What's up, everybody? Welcome to Trading with Bubba, and it is Tuesday, February the 27th, and not a lot going on. It's kind of a quiet, murky day. A little bit of news today, durable goods and consumer confidence. More layoffs, more issues, but yet the markets are still trying to work themselves higher. Again, there's not a real lot to do. We traded live this morning, and of course, it's kind of quiet. Potential trade here in the in the euro currency, potential buy on a little bit of a try to sell it off bottom here. Just take a quick peek here, and maybe we'll make a trade while we're waiting here. The stop would be 108.40 if you'd make the trade here. 108.40. We'll see. We got to wait for the bar to close. Let's just see if there's anything else of note while we're waiting. And again, as you notice, the volume is drying up everywhere. Just telling us there's not really much going on in this market right now. So we'll see. And then we'll go back and look at everything else once we can figure out if we're going to do anything with this. And just right now, we would want to be a buyer at 57, 108.57 or above, which right now would not be a trade. So we'll skip past this in a second, and we'll come back. We'll kind of rotate because we're not doing anything for a minute now anyways. So now we can see that it is no trade. So let's go to our main board and just take a view at the stuff we kind of watch. Apple stuck down here got to 180, which is where our target was to sell some potential put spreads. Again, it's in a downtrend, but certainly wouldn't have a problem selling some put spreads, assuming that support will hold for a little bit here. Amazon, in the middle of nowhere, really. We were looking to sell call spreads up around 180, never got there. Coin, this is interesting. I mean, I would certainly, if you get in the twos, I'd look to sell some call spreads up around 205, 210. I think that, again, I like it. I own it, and I think it's going higher, but certainly it is extremely overbought in these conditions here. Let me just flip back here, make sure we don't miss out on anything, and no, we're not. We'll see, but we'll let this trade out the last few seconds here, but there's not going to be a trade here. Let's just take a look at the board, make sure there's nothing else that we're missing while we're looking around, and no, we're not. Okay. So, Meta, again, up towards 500, we'd be looking to sell some put call spreads. Google, look at it, right down on support with 135 spreads would have been good this morning. I mean, again, I still wouldn't have a problem if you sold some put spreads for Friday, but I do like to get about 40 cents per dollar. I don't know if that's available. Okay. To get IWM, certainly I would sell call spreads for tomorrow. Wednesday, so it'd be a 2-day trade up here at like the 205 and change. Let's just see what it looks like right now. Hold on. IWM, and for the 28th, the 205. Not enough credit for me. 25 cents. I'm not taking it. I'll wait and see if it goes a little bit higher. Let's just go back here and see if there's anything else worth looking at. And not really, other than still the potential in the euro currency. And that is still not a buy yet. So again, we're still waiting for that to potentially turn. Moderna, which we added to our list yesterday. Again, up around 100, I'd look to sell some call spreads. Microsoft, we're in the middle of nowhere. Nothing to do. At 400, I would sell put spreads. At 420, I would sell call spreads. Again, there's not a lot to do. The markets aren't that busy, so it's not like we're really rushing to do anything. I think this is one of the things you have to remember, and you have to say, hey, sometimes there's just not much to do, and I have to be willing to walk away. NVIDIA, it is relieving the overbought condition, but unfortunately, instead of coming down, it's going sideways. So overbought can be resolved by consolidating as well, because if it consolidates, the mean will come into play as the mean rises up into this uptrend. The Qs, certainly around the 440, I'd look to be a seller of some spreads. I did sell some for today. I sold the 438, 439 myself for 38 cents, okay, which expired today. The Square, not much, a little bit overbought, but still some room in here. Certainly, if it got back up near 80, I'd look to sell some stuff. And again, I know you're getting bored of me saying the same things about the spreads, but there's not that much to do. So I'm not looking to get all that active because there isn't a heck of a lot to do here. Again, the markets dictate what you're going to do. Let's go just take a look and see. And we're still in nothing to do. And what about here? And again, there's really not much to look at. Potentially crude has got a chance to be something. We'll see if it gets there. But in the meantime, let's come back here. The spiders up at around 510, I would look at. Tesla up at around 210. I'd be looking to sell some spreads. Win down around 102. I'd be looking to sell some put spreads. XBI, which is one I think is worth looking at. And this one I would look at right now is a potential to sell. In fact, let's see what they look like here. First, let's go here and make sure we don't miss out. Not that we're missing anything because it is very, very quiet here anyways. All right, so let's just take a look at what the XBI looks like, because I did mention that on my call last night that I wanted to take a look at it and potentially sell it. XBI. And here I would be looking to sell a more deep in the money spread, okay, because again, it's more in a blow off formation. So let's see if we want to sell the 95 100 call spread just for kicks. 415, that's 85 cents. It's like buying the put that you would pay 98 cents, so you're paying about 20% less if you do the spread, and if you want to go a little wider. So here you've got $1 worth of risk, so you're giving away a little bit. Let's just see. I'm just trying to figure out if there's something in here for us to do. Again, it's something to look at. I would look to sell the 9,500 for 520 credit or so. I think that would be okay. And let's see here. We're going to get a potential trade here. You can buy the euro currency if you trade with me. It's certainly something to look at. And of course, our stop was going to be 105.40. Excuse me, 108.40. My bad. 108.40. And again, other than that, there's really very little happening in these markets right now. Very, very quiet. Very, very lack of activity. And again, not a surprise as we wait for more data this week. I think tomorrow you've got GDP first revision, retail inventories, and you get more Fed speak. And Thursday you got a lot of stuff. So again, there's a lot of news this week. And of course, at the end of the week is ISM manufacturing, which in my opinion is the most important number because it's a private number that is not from the government. So you get a true read on what's going on. So as we continue to watch in here, and we're getting a little bit of a rally, nothing great. It's not like we'd like to see it running, and it's not running, but of course we do have a little bit of room. So if I were to look, I would go ahead and put my stop in at break even on my euro currency trade. Again, normally I wouldn't be this aggressive with the stop, but I'm not interested. It's very quiet, and I'm not really overly interested in being too active here. So I put my stop and break even. You've got a free roll, as we call it. You can, it's got a chance to continue to go your favor. You should be in at about 55. So if your stop's at like 56, it's trading at 57, 58, but you might get stopped out right here. And when I say break even, boom, you should probably be out right now if you took the trade with just a tiny bit of profit, because we want to cover our costs of trade and cover cost of commission. So you should probably be out, which is fine. Again, I'm not all that hepped up about trading here anyways. If I were on the trading floor, I'd be on my way to the golf course already because of the lack of overall activity. Okay. Again, the more you sit and stare at these machines and these charts, the more you're likely to make a bad trade. because again, it becomes like, oh, I should be doing something when there's really nothing to do. And I think this is one of the things that you have to remember and have to work on, is the ability to walk away if there's nothing to do. Okay. Now, suddenly it looks like the markets are suddenly coming, except for the Russell. It seems like everything else is coming under a little bit of pressure right now. So we'll see. Again, I'm not, there's not enough action or volume for me to say, hey, boy, I really got to get involved here. Okay. I want to see volumes up in these levels for me to want to think about getting involved. Okay. I'm not looking, because I'm looking for what we would call the emotional trade. We want to play against the emotions of others. And I think by forcing things or forcing ourselves into trades, you really put yourself in jeopardy. We took the euro currency trade, which was fine. We got out, which was fine. Again, it was a trade that was the correct trade at the time. It just didn't work out, but we were able to get enough of a movement to be able to at least get a free roll out of it. Okay. And of course, that's one of the nice things we like to do as well, get the opportunity to get a free roll out of it as well. Okay. So in the meantime, we're sitting there watching, maybe gold's going to be a trade. No, it's not going to make it. There's not going to be enough here. The bonds, no. Again, you have such a lack of overall activity in these markets that it's really, not much to really talk about. Just look at this. Here you can see the lack of overall action in the market. So, once again, I say to you, sometimes it doesn't make sense to get overly involved, because all we'd really be doing now, based on the current action, is taking a guess. And if you force me to guess, I'd have to guess with the longer term trend, which the longer term trend in the four major indices is higher. Okay. So I'd have to be long. And I'm not saying that I want to jump in and get long here. The longer term trend in crude oil is long, so I'd have to be a buyer. The euro currency just turned over to be long, so I'd have to be a buyer there, which we were. But I mean, again, the lack of activity, creates nothing for us to do. And then it creates a potential bad trade from us, because we feel compelled to be involved in these markets. And I think, again, I don't see any real reason to get overly involved as you sit and watch. And of course, if you're a Bitcoin follower, Bitcoin continues to explode once again. Okay. And look at that. Okay. After a consolidating period, boom, it's going straight up again. Now, certainly at some point here, it'll be a sell for a short period of time. Okay. And I think it's something to look at if indeed you trade that. Okay. And of course, certainly I wouldn't want to be naked short. I don't typically get in short naked products that are open or that trade 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is what Bitcoin does. So, but certainly I don't have a problem if you can, use the BITO or whatever as a surrogate, because it is a ETF that is directly correlated, which is right here. Oops. So here, again, if you were going to say, hey, maybe I want to, take a short position here, just for, again, this would be one that I'd be looking for. And I am not going to take this trade, but again, it's one that is certainly reasonable if you're looking to do so. And I might, if it continues to pop, I might look at it later. But here you'd probably want to look to potentially sell some call spreads, out in the future a little bit. And you'd want to sell the deep in the money. You want to represent a put, is what you'd be trying to do here. You'd be creating what they call a synthetic put. Okay. So if I sold the 2026 spread, okay, there's no way I'm getting 590. If I can get 590 for that spread, I'll sell 1,000. Okay. But that's 10 cents. But basically what that is you're buying, okay, the 26 put for next week for $1 for 10 cents. Okay. So we know that that's not going to fill at that price. But somewhere in the neighborhood, you could probably get filled at a reasonable price if you believe in the phases of the market, which we talk about. And of course, this has exploded straight up, and certainly wouldn't be a total shock to see a little bit of a pullback here. And let's just go back and see if there's anything else doing. Naturally, our euro currency is going straight up now, and I mean, yeah, straight up. We gave up on 3 potential ticks right now, but again, there's really just an overall lack of true activity here. So what I say is, look, there are times to be heavily involved, and there are times to do nothing. And certainly, I think this is more of a time to kind of sit it out and hang out. Okay, I don't think that you want to overly put yourself in a position here to be active, because let's face it, being active in a thin market is not a very wise trade to be making. Okay, I think you have to remember that the overall market itself will give you the best direction, okay, to go by. And we're just not seeing a lot of great activity that is allowing us to trade, and sometimes it's just better to say, hey, I'm just going to watch, or I'm going to get out. And my advice to all of you, if you're not, if you're active traders, this is not a time to be active. If you're passive traders are looking for opportunity, there's not a lot of great opportunities happening right now. So you're better off studying or doing some other things than wasting your time in a market that really is not that tradable right now. Because where are you going to make the money at right now? You look at how quiet and how passive the market is right now. So where do you get the opportunities to make the money? And I think that's something that you always have to remember, is we're here to make money. It's that simple. Okay? This whole thing is about making money. And if there's no real activity, how am I going to make money? Okay. And because we're determined, and we need action. We need the markets to move in both directions. Okay. But certainly are always trying to catch a runner, and most runners will come from either a straight up move that falls apart or a straight down move that goes back up again. And right here, you're getting such a lack of activity and such a lack of emotion. If you remember, you're trying to trade off of other people's emotion. Okay, you're trying to pick off those that can't control themselves and are chasing or puking, selling out. And you're not really seeing any of that kind of action in these markets right now. Okay, you're not seeing any volume. The key is the volume. Okay, it's price and volume, but if you don't have them both, then there's no trade. But the real key is the volume that goes along with it, because that's what creates the overall action. And we're not really seeing it. I mean, you're seeing gold go straight down, okay, but it's going down to nothing. So where's my edge to be able to trade into that? Remember, you think about this business as an edge business. So where's your edge? If there's no action, if there's no emotion, it means that the markets are more orderly and they could just continue falling that way, versus when they go down fast or up fast, there's a greater probability that they're going to turn back and come back into you. And that is where people make their biggest mistakes, is trying to force a trade into a market that lacks any real activity. And this market certainly lacks real activity. So it is my advice to all of you. Certainly the spreads are sellable. If you want to sell those are fine. Those are limited reward, limited risk, very little action. You're banking on that it doesn't go, if you're selling calls, but you're just banking it doesn't go much higher. Okay. But again, there's a limited amount of risk. You're not involved in any time decay, and the spread's going to expire today. So that's the way that I see things. And I think, just again, I would be careful. I don't see a lot to do here. I'm going to be done for the day, most likely after this call, because I don't see much to do. I mean, I'll be doing some other things and watching, but pretty soon I'll be playing poker for the rest of the day. So everybody have a great day. We'll see you back here on Thursday. And don't forget, every day I do an update before the market opens on what I expect to see. It's a quick minute 20. In the meantime, have a great day, everybody. We'll see you back here on Thursday.